Beginning. No one expected the Empress of Aurelian to eat. That alone should explain how strange the assignment was. When the human accord was signed, after 3 costly border conflicts and 1 near-extinction misunderstanding, the final clause had been almost ceremonial, a cultural exchange, symbolic and harmless. Music, language, art. Food had been listed at the very end, an afterthought. That was how Marcus Hale, former orbital engineer and current civilian liaison, found himself standing inside the kitchens of the Black Spire Palace, wearing borrowed robes and holding a knife that vibrated faintly with alien energy. The kitchens were silent. Not busy silence. Reverent silence. Dozens of Aurelian attendants stood motionless along the walls, tall and willowy, their opalescent skin reflecting the soft violet light of the chamber. None of them spoke. None of them breathed audibly. Their elongated eyes followed Marcus with something between curiosity and dread, because the Empress had requested him. Not a diplomat, not a scientist, not a chef, a human who understood nourishment beyond sustenance. Marcus didn't know what that meant. He only knew that if this went wrong, Earth's fragile peace with the Varelian Empire would end before the first course. The Empress of Varelian, Saelthara the Eternal, had ruled for over 4 centuries. She had overseen the expansion of her empire across 12 systems. Entire species bowed when her presence touched their atmosphere. She had never eaten in public. In fact, according to the archives, she had not eaten at all in over 100 years. Marcus swallowed and focused on the ingredients laid out before him. They had allowed him only one condition. The dish must be human. No synthetic enhancements. No alien additives. No ceremonial poisons. Just food. He chose the simplest thing he could think of, a meal his mother used to make when words failed. Rice. Slow-cooked vegetables. A small portion of roasted protein, seasoned gently. Nothing extravagant. Nothing sharp. Something warm. As he cooked, the palace shifted. The air thickened, charged with unseen attention. Marcus felt it then, not fear but pressure, as if the entire empire was leaning forward. When the dish was complete, it was placed on a smooth obsidian platter and lifted by anti-grav fields. Marcus followed it through towering corridors carved from black crystal, each step echoing louder than the last. At the end of the hall, massive doors opened. The throne room awaited, and upon the throne sat the Empress. She was taller than any human, her form elegant and terrifying at once. Her crown was grown, not forged, a living lattice of light that pulsed softly with her thoughts. Her eyes were deep pools of silver, ancient beyond comprehension. She looked at the dish, then at Marcus. "Is this nourishment?" she asked. "Yes," Marcus said quietly. "And memory." The Empress inclined her head. "Approach." Middle. Marcus stepped forward alone. The court remained frozen behind him. Advisors, generals, priest-architects of the empire, all silent witnesses. He could feel their skepticism like static on his skin. The dish hovered between them. The Empress studied it with an intensity usually reserved for star charts and enemy movements. "This food," she said, "contains no stimulants, no neural enhancers, no genetic harmonics." "That's right," Marcus replied. "It's not meant to impress." A murmur rippled faintly through the court. The Empress raised one finger, and silence returned instantly. "Then why prepare it?" she asked. Marcus hesitated, then decided honesty was safer than protocol. "Because where I'm from, we don't always eat to grow stronger," he said. "Sometimes we eat to remember who we are." The Empress's gaze sharpened. "Explain." Marcus gestured to the dish. "This is what my mother cooked when someone in the family was hurting. When words couldn't fix things. When the world felt too big." A long pause followed. The Empress extended a slender, glowing utensil, crafted for a physiology very different from his own, and touched the food. The instant she did, the room changed. Energy rippled outward from the throne like a shockwave. Several courtiers staggered, clutching their heads. Marcus felt his thoughts tremble. The Empress inhaled sharply. Her eyes widened, not in fear but surprise. "What is this?" she whispered. "You're tasting it," Marcus said, "but you're also feeling it." Her grip tightened. Images flickered in the air around her. Unintended projections of memory. Vast halls empty of laughter. Endless councils. Wars won without satisfaction. A throne that never cooled. I was born to rule, she said, voice unsteady. I was crowned before I learned rest. Emotion was inefficient. Marcus said nothing. I removed hunger, she continued. Removed pain. Removed desire. The food trembled on the platter. And yet, she said slowly, this simple thing carries weight. She took a second bite. The throne room gasped. Tears welled in the Empress's eyes. For a heartbeat, no one moved. No one dared breathe. Then a single tear fell. It struck the floor like a gemstone. The Empress of Aurelian wept. The sound she made was small, almost human. I remember, she whispered. Before the crown. Before the silence. I remember warmth. The court erupted into chaos. Advisors shouted. Guards shifted uneasily. Priests cried out omens. Marcus stepped forward instinctively. Your Majesty. Do not stop, she said sharply, raising a trembling hand. This is not weakness. She looked at him, truly looked at him. You did not poison me, she said. You awakened me. She gestured, and the projections changed, now showing her empire from above. Countless systems, endless obedience, and beneath it all, a cold, starving core. I ruled without hunger, she said, without want, without joy. Another tear fell, and my empire followed. The Empress stood. The throne dissolved behind her like mist. For centuries, she said, voice carrying across the hall, I believed myself perfected. She turned to Marcus. But perfection is barren. The hall trembled as power shifted, not violently, but fundamentally. What is this dish called? She asked. Marcus swallowed. It doesn't really have a name. We just call it dinner. The Empress almost smiled. Ending. The changes did not come all at once. Empires rarely collapse from a single tear, but they do change. The Empress ordered kitchens reopened, not for ceremony, but for sustenance, for shared meals. For the first time in recorded Varelian history, the ruling court ate together. Not enhancements, not performance compounds. Food. Marcus stayed longer than planned. Weeks turned into months. He taught the palace staff how humans cooked, not recipes, but reasons. Why meals were shared, why they were slow, why imperfection mattered. The Empress attended often. She spoke less in councils and more in private chambers, asking questions no ruler had asked her before. What do humans fear most? What do they hope survives them? What does it mean to be full? On the day Marcus was scheduled to return to Earth, the Empress met him in gardens. Real soil, real plants, recently commissioned at her request. I will not pretend this changes everything, she said. Power still exists. Threats remain. He nodded. Food doesn't fix the universe. No, she agreed. But it reminds us why we live in it. She paused, then placed a small crystal in his hand. A record, she said, of this moment. So your species remembers that the Empress of Varelian cried, not from defeat, but from recognition. Marcus bowed, deeply. As his ship departed, the black spire dimmed, not in mourning, but rest. Across the empire, policies softened. Wars slowed. Conquest gave way to negotiation. Not because the Empress had grown weak, but because she had remembered hunger. And on Earth, when Marcus finally returned home, he cooked the same simple meal. And for the first time in generations, humanity did not feel quite so small beneath the stars.